Ken Bone and Biggie.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Super Desperation Radio! Go!
Hey everyone. I didn't ruin that intro, did I? I don't think I did. Anyway.
Hey everybody, welcome to Super Desperation Radio, where Chris just botched the intro again.
I didn't bust the intro!
He didn't even attempt it.
I was just like not even trying to look at the chat, but they're ruining my time here.
You can't fail what you don't try.
Exactly.
I mean, that's valid, I suppose.
Yeah.
Lesson in here is never try.
If you don't try, you've already failed. That's how it works.
We're trying to
I don't think that's true.
special.
I don't think it actually works like that.
You miss every shot that you don't take.
That's
Not
failing.
true, because you didn't take the shot.
Take it! Just take it already!
Anyway, welcome to another exciting episode of Super Desperation Radio. I am Gibby, Manchester, and I've got a bunch of people with me. They're all jackasses.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course, jackasses never know they're jackasses. That's why I call you guys jackasses and not myself. But I'm also a jackass.
We're the most debonair cavalcade of fighting game
Luminaries. There we go. Yeah.
I'm not a jackass. I'm more of a king ass, at the very least a queen ass. Alright, so fuck off.
You're not an ace ass?
No. I might be a ace ass rock, though.
So, welcome to another episode of Super Desperation Radio. We did the Super Desperation Open yesterday. Online tournament for King of Fighters 14. Gentlemen, how did it go?
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I can't.
Surprisingly well, despite of like one little thing, but that was resolved pretty quickly by just going forward anyways and dealing with it.
Yeah. No real hiccups there, other than me having to work with Skype and weird.
You having to restart your computer.
Restart the freaking computer because apparently Skype can't recognize you when you sign on to your own freaking account. Anyway,
it was so funny because like Seg was like, "Can we start the tournament? You guys are like 30 minutes late," and we're like, "Okay." And you guys gonna get it down there by 4 p.m.? I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure we should be able to." 4 p.m. rolls around. Hellpox computer's fucked up. All right.
Like right at 3:59 too. It's just like gone.
Yeah, like of all the things that could have happened, it's like, damn it.
I was like mid sentence too, and it just cut off.
That was great because we were gonna start at 2, but due to making the bracket and dealing with a couple of no shows, we had to start a bit later. So we started at about 2:30, and all the brackets got done except for one. They all got done. What, Anthony? Like within an hour?
Yeah, there was like 3:30, 3:40. Most of them were done.
Yeah, and then there were 2 players sharing a console, which they didn't inform us about until like a round and a half in or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Instant DK.
Which would have been nice. Oh yeah, no one's doing that. Yeah.
Going forward, if you guys are ever trying to share a console with someone else, don't, because you'll get DQ'd. If you try and hide it, you'll both get DQ'd.
Oh no, you're both getting DQ'd no matter what, even if you don't hide it.
If you need to borrow someone else's console, make sure that there are 2 consoles, not one.
Well, yeah,
Sounds a little weird.
We ended up playing out pools off stream, and then streaming all of top 8. And top 8 went really well. A lot of players that no one's ever really heard of. Like doing some pretty sick shit. One guy just flying away all goddamn day with me on.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Oh god, it was great.
That was what's his name? Shmoo.
Yeah, it was Shmoo.
Shmoo's Mian just making everyone hate that character. I couldn't tell. Obviously, it wasn't me playing the game, so I didn't know what was going on through his many opponents' heads. But I was wondering, like, why are people just not rolling? Like, she can't do anything against it. Just like get the life lead and then be an asshole back. I don't. Anyway, that was just me thinking. But yeah, we saw a lot of players come out there and just like be really, really surprising. I mean, we even saw some old local players, JDR, come out there. Even though some people weren't as impressed as others with his Ralph, he still got top 8. So becoming a much better player.
I think it was the JDR match. He was playing real wild. I don't even know what was going on.
Always plays though.
No, but it wasn't just him playing wild. There's like his opponent like going back, and there was just like they didn't even look like they were necessarily combo drops, but they were just like halts, and then some other shit would happen, and it was just all over. I recommend watching all the matches because there's some gold in there. I'm talking shit that I never even saw. Like I didn't think that was it. Ramon Crouch C just like going under Iron Trigger.
Oh,
like,
that was amazing.
And just tagged him in the shins and beat him. I was like, "What's going on?" I was so baffled.
That was amazing.
God.
But yeah, we just had like a ton of like really exciting matches. And everybody seemed to enjoy it. That was the big part for me, is that everybody actually seemed to have fun and was grateful that we did it, and they want us to do more. So of course, we're going to do our best to oblige that. I think that the prize pot obviously didn't hurt, but I honestly think that people will just come in and play because it's streamed, it's got good production. 10-0 was behind it. Shoutouts to us, I guess, because we're 10-0. But shoutouts to Seg and Hanzo and Spencer, for putting that together and putting up with me and my abrasive voice.
I really wish that you would have what's it called? You would have sent your stream to them without you processing the green screen, but just so we could see the green screen with no chroma key, so they could input their own chroma key like background for you.
That's why I did it.
That's why I thought that would have been really funny. We're just like every time he's different place, like now he's on the farm, Like you had the whole Galaxy going on. It's like you guys should just replace it with the Samsung Galaxy in the background.
Yeah, that was a gimmick I was running where like I had a green screen. I have the green screen going and just threw up any random background I could think of, and I also got dressed up for it. That was a weird thing. So before the tournament happened, I was already dressed up, and I get a call from work, and they're like, "Hey, so there's no one coming in for the next 4 hours because the guy called in sick and nobody decided to take his shift." And I'm like, "Well, they're calling me because there's no more professional workers there anymore except for me. So I guess I'm the boss by default."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I spent like an hour working before the show started.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
Luckily, I was wearing a suit and tie though, so it worked out perfectly.
You were dressed all snazzy, but you didn't have a nice plant behind you. Instead, you had the space.
You know what really sucked
the
about
galaxy?
it? What really sucked about it was like I was dressed all snazzy on camera, but for my original plan was I was just going to wear the shirt top and then just wear boxers underneath. So I was just going to do that the whole time. And I had to put pants on because the work called me. So my day.
The work. So you already thanked everybody and everything?
Yeah.
Did you?
I hope so.
Did you forget anyone?
I already.
No, special big ups to Metaphysics, Meta Abe, longtime friend of the SDR, for being on commentary too.
Yeah. You did a great job.
I love his stuff. He's probably, I want to say he's the best commentator to me personally in the world for King of Fighters. But yeah, definitely always a blast to work with him.
I think he's definitely underutilized in the KOF community, but I think this year or this time, a lot of people are recognizing his ability, and he should be getting a lot more work, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, and also shout outs to Fighting Games Online for the pot bonus.
Took you long enough. God damn it.
I was waiting for you guys to finish yours.
Sure. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Anyway, thank you to Fighting Games Online for donating the $100 to the pot. What was it? 200. I thought it was
100.
100.
Yeah, donated 100 to the pot. Please go check them out at fightinggamesonline.info. Follow. I keep forgetting how to spell your Twitter name. One's a number, one's not. It's the core on Twitter. It is, or I'm sorry, it's FGS Online on Twitter. So be sure to follow them. Check them out. Check out his site. It's Fighting Game Info.
He's good people.
Yeah, and he's good people.
So how many people, I know you said you had a couple no-shows, how many people ended up being in the tournament?
29?
Yeah, I want to say like, what, 5 people didn't show up?
Yeah, it was like four or five people showed up. One of the ones that upset me that didn't show was Nerd Josh, because Nerd Josh was definitely on Twitter being an idiot and not in the tournament playing.
Being an idiot in the tournament.
Well, last time I knew, he was still having to use Steve's system whenever he plays online because the way their apartment is set up, he can't get to internet access on his own. Really? So it's possible that Steve was there and he just didn't have access. I don't know though.
No, I mean, hopefully he gets a chance to get some of his own access, because I know he wants to compete. He keeps, talking to everybody how he just wants to play KOF, and I think a good outlet for him would be these online tournaments. And we haven't decided if we're going to do them every month or every other week or something like that. Definitely not weekly, because we have fucking lives and stuff.
Well, this one, just little info on this tournament before going in. We had 4 days to prep for this. It was just an impromptu tournament that we did because another event that Tenno was doing in Florida had to get canceled due to Hurricane Matthew. And KOF 14 tournament happened instead, online. And it did well. And I have Hell Pockets screaming.
That's an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, it's not a King of Fighters tournament if Hell Pockets isn't screaming.
I mean, that's true. Honestly, I'm just going to toot my own horn here for a second. I
gonna tweet my own hoo-ha.
That's not esports.
It might be.
Yeah, baby. I think that it's not just me. It's just personalities that just kind of go along with the package of KOF and just any game in general. Like you kind of have to have that on board in order for it to be a certain level of entertaining. I won't ever say legit, because any tournament can be legit. It doesn't matter who's commentating. But like me and Abe bring the hotness. So it's real. I'm not even ashamed of it. I did a damn good job.
You guys did a great job.
Abe always does a good job, man. That guy is like so solid. Like, I think if I could be as consistent with my commentary as Abe is with his, I probably would not be working where I'm working right now. I probably would have sold out a long time ago.
So you're not selling out, you're buying in.
I'm buying in, yeah. Into the Pockets experience.
Oh, we're gonna have to drink it in.
Yeah.
The gift of Pockets.
Year 2017, year of Pockets, man. Summer of Chris.
Okay. I'll believe it when I see it. But okay.
But overall, like, it was a really good event, and I'm glad to be back on the mic and doing commentating for the game series that I love, and can't wait to see what 2017 holds for it. And we'll keep pushing along on our own end. Obviously, we announced last night that we are going to be doing some more not product pushing, but like just more content pushing for KOF 14, since currently it's not really moving beyond the fan the fan sharing area. Like everybody who's playing it is talking about it, and they're enjoying it, and they're sharing videos and tech and whatever, but nobody's really doing the whole media experience with the game yet. So we're looking to do that.
There isn't a centralized authority on it yet.
Exactly.
So for people who don't know, and I'll use myself as an example here because I haven't played the game very much, and I never played KOF in the past except for 13. So for someone like myself who doesn't know as much about KOF 14, I can see all these different videos, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I can't tell if it's good, I can't tell if it's bad, I can't tell if it'll be useful, I can't tell anything.
Mm-hmm.
So without somebody or a group of people sort of organizing content, or at least directing people, it's sort of worthless for beginners.
Mm-hmm.
Advanced players, all the stuff that people are putting out is fantastic. But for new players, which is what everybody's looking toward right now in terms of building the scene, they need to have a guide of somewhat. So,
and that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to provide the community with that centralized source of information, and it'll be both like informative and entertaining. And I'm not saying we're going to do like the Mike Ross show or something like that, but we'll try.
We can't afford Mike Ross.
I know I cannot afford Mike Ross. I cannot afford to be like Mike Ross, man. That guy's too sweet.
No, I mean we really just can't afford Mike Ross. Like I can't pay him to be on the show.
Yeah, so
I'm sure we can get him on the show.
You say that.
No,
Maybe once.
so yeah,
I'm sure we can get him on the show.
we've just got a lot of plans for that. So there'll be more about that later too. But now I want to move into other things. There was another character unveiled in Tekken 7. That kind of, I guess it kind of shocked everybody because when I woke up and people were just all like, "Oh my God, Miguel!" and I'm like, "Oh shit, what?"
It's just who I've been waiting for since Tekken 7 came out.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised because some of the other characters, the new characters in Tekken 7, had moves that looked suspiciously like Miguel's moves.
Yeah, like Katarina and Claudio. I'm just like, oh
Yeah, they both have sort of like offshoots of his moves. So I was kind of like, well, all right, they took Miguel's moves and gave them to two characters, so that probably means he's not coming back.
yeah, that's what I thought.
But I think a lot of people are going to be, are obviously really happy that Miguel's coming back because even though he was new in Tekken 6, he actually got a really big following.
Oh yeah. I didn't play a lot of Tekken 6, but he seemed cool. But when I played Tag 2, that was the character that I pretty much only cared to learn. I played a little bit of Jack as well. I kind of want to play more Dragunov because I played him in 5 for like the very short stint that I played it. And Dragunov's cool too, but I'm all about this Miguel.
Yeah, I'm not all about these translations.
What
Some
are
of
these
this,
typos?
no, not even the typos. The
No,
freaking,
they're not being what he's saying.
there's well, they get it close to being right, but then they just start adding stuff, and that's like, I guess you're really trying to push a theme or a feeling here.
Trying to localize it.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, the English translation for the very first clip when you hear him talk is "This hatred I bear is only for you" or something like that.
Yeah.
And in Spanish, if you just translate it word for word, it's like, "You're the only guy I hate." And it's like you're getting real dramatic with this, man. He just said it's like, and then when they missed
they're trying to give you this the Shakespearean translation.
forsooth. It's like, no, man. He just said he hates his ass. Like, he's extra drunk sounding and extra surly in this, and then it's like, I don't think he'd be saying this. How tipsy my man is right now. Like,
You never know.
then you
man.
do have the that misspelling when he, what does he say? Loose. Oh yeah, it's like if you keep fighting like that, you're gonna lose your life.
Yeah.
And then, like,
It looks like you're about to loose.
Yeah, you're about to lose, and it's like, look, I don't know if you just fucked up or you're being vaguely racist here, but
Yeah, it's obviously because he's Spanish. So you know.
it's like, But I'm really fucking jazzed that he's back. That character is sick.
Dude.
It was really interesting because in a game that I felt overall that Tekken 6 was more about just throwing out launchers than a lot of past Tekkens, Miguel still felt like a really strong poke character. Because a lot of his punishes, specifically his down forward 1-2, once you got rage, it was such a gigantic damage swing for just 2 hits
Oh yeah.
that you had to be worried about just throwing stuff out against Miguel. Like, he made everything you did feel, if you actually blocked it, like there were consequences.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of characters just didn't have that in Tekken 6 on the level, that level at least. So.
I just like especially like in Tag 2, 11 frame punish 2-1 and rage was like 50 damage. I was just like, wow.
it's huge. Yeah,
Don't
his
even need
punishes in that
combos.
game are so good.
I also like that they kind of showcase that in that trailer where it's like, hey, here's kind of what this character's about, and like he blocks something and then suddenly he does the shove and it's like, all right, that does a shit ton.
Yeah.
And it knocks down.
He's just, honestly, it's funny for as much of a game about juggles and offense, is Miguel kind of seems like a character that sort of went against that grain, where he was more about, hey, if you have good defense, you can really make shit happen with this character. I mean, he definitely has his share of okie dokes, like his down back 1, pick up the change. People just don't block that move.
Yeah.
It's the slowest move ever, and you look at it and you, oh my god, that's down back 1, and then you get hit. But it's going to be really cool. I'm really interested to see, like, he makes me more and more as new characters are getting released. I really didn't have a lot of interest in Tekken 7. I was just like, the cast is kind of whatever. You know, the game looks fun, but I'm just not feeling it. I think it's a good game, but like more characters are getting released, and I'm like, man, this game actually looks really, really good. I'm starting to get excited for it. So,
same here, especially because what's it called? Like, I was gonna get the game. You know, I'm like, this game looks cool. I like it. But I really felt sad because it's like there's characters I like, but there's not who I wanted to play. And then they're just like, oh, by the way, Miguel. And I'm like, all right, you got me.
yeah.
Whew. Can't wait.
That's
It's
cool.
gonna be so awesome.
I'm wondering how many more characters Tekken 7 is going to have, because we're not even.
Oh yeah.
We're like 3-4 months away from this game coming out at the earliest.
Are like the mainline games known for just having like those really ridiculous casts? Like obviously Tag Series does because they have to make enough teams to be.
Well, I mean, the first game there was like what 8 characters, and then like they released all the secret characters, and there's like another 8.
I want to say that the first Tekken was still almost like 20 characters.
Yeah.
And it's only gone up from there. Tekken 3 and 4 kind of tried to scale it back. Obviously, Tekken 4 tried to like reboot everything. But once we started getting into 5, it's only gone up.
Okay. So you guys could end up with like a monstrous cast listing then.
I figure.
Well, think about Tag 2 sans the clone characters. Like you get rid of like Thin Bob, you get rid of well, AK is like Armor King's like a weird case because at this point they've just like truncated everything and just given it to King in some form or fashion. But you know, Bruce likely not coming back since we already have Brian, unless they like fundamentally change him.
Well, I mean, and Josie
exists.
Oh,
yeah. Who else? We actually don't have any of the Changs.
No.
Oh yeah.
And that's like one of the biggest omissions I feel.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing, is that one of them has to show up, or somebody who fights like them, because at this point their not being in the game is really weird.
Yeah, it's like old, like not even just like mainstays, because they are, but like fan favorites and stuff too.
No, yeah, like, and they've always been fairly strong. You know, there's definitely been games where the Changs weren't top tier, but they've always been a threat. And it's weird that coming all the way from Tekken 1, there's always been at least one of them in.
Yeah.
And no Capos either. And Lucky isn't quite.
No,
exactly
she's something. She's
Yeah.
something different. So I don't know. If you asked me, I think we'll get at least 4 more characters, probably. I don't know what number it's at right now, but they'll probably round it off evenly, obviously. But I would say we'll get a Chang. We'll probably get a Capo. And I would honestly say that they should just do Eddie Christie as one character, where it's like an outfit switch. Make the most sense.
Yeah.
And just make their hitbox, hurtboxes the same. Because when they don't do that, shit's weird.
Shit gets a little funky.
Yeah, shit gets a little funky. And other than that, I think they could go a number of ways. Look, I want Bear. I really want Kuma or Panda, but there's no guarantee that they'll let that happen.
Yeah.
Especially with Gigas kind of taking some of that style as well as some of Marduk. But I don't know who else.
Lei Wulong's missing.
Lei is missing. I mean, he is such a different character. It would be weird for him to not show up, or somebody at least like him. So, I don't know.
No, we even got the Lee back at this point. Like,
Yeah. And
I was not expecting Lee announced so early.
Same. Like he didn't seem like, not like people don't like him or anything, but it just seemed kind of like a strange choice to just be like, Lee's back. Like, who's the big Lee guy out there? Like, oh, sweet. And Violet, that's my dude.
We wanted Fighting GM to play this game.
Yeah.
We already didn't have enough, Jeet Kune Do and all that. But another.
Yeah, I think actually at this point we're likely gonna get a Chang. We're gonna get Lei back. We're gonna get a Capo, and I think it's gonna close out with we're gonna get a Bear. Or
really?
one of the animals. Like we're gonna get one of the animals.
I honestly think we'll get a Bear eventually, if only because Kuma is like Harada's favorite character.
Yeah, It also feels like Gigas almost ends up being like the Marduk replacement, personally.
Yeah, he has a bunch of Marduk stuff, or at least from what I've seen, since I haven't gotten to play him.
Yeah. So I honestly feel we're gonna get at least 4 more, and one of them will be an animal. It'll be a dinosaur bear.
Oh shit! Dino bears.
What?
Chris comes back. Dino bear. What?
What?
I would honestly be fine with either Kuma Panda or Roger Alex, but we'll see. So,
Cool.
I am interested to see where the next couple months take us before the game's released, and that's just saying that we think the game's coming out in January. Nobody even knows. They're saying early 2017. It could be another one of those early spring releases. Like there's been, a lot of games released around that time frame in the last few years. So
That's true.
Well, they released Street Fighter V. What, like pretty much on the tail end of winter?
it was end of February, right? No, it was
February
18th. Like it was around 18th.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then MK and Injustice, I think, were both released around spring-ish. I know MKX was. And then we get BB one year around that time too,
I feel like we did, or at least
the Japanese got it. I can't remember. But
I wonder if when 7 hits consoles and PC though, if they're gonna update arcades as well.
I gotta assume they will.
Yeah.
But
we haven't really heard any news though, you know.
no, yeah, that is kind of a weird thing that they're saying. Oh yeah, this is console, but I mean the game is mostly played on arcade in Japan and Korea.
Yeah.
So I have to assume they'll update it.
Yeah, I don't think Tekken's not one of those games that you can kind of just force people to change the way they play it, I guess. And that's already really hard to do with a lot of other games. Like, I think that's why KOF 14 might suffer, is because there's no arcade version. There's like maybe 80% of the Japanese community might be a little hindered. But then again, they do have console cafes in Japan that are pretty much dedicated to this kind of stuff, so...
Yeah.
But you have to think about like the culture difference. Like casual meetups aren't really a thing.
Right.
And by talking to people, like our buddy Majin Obama, who's like, I've actually kind of discussed this to some length, like that just isn't a thing. Like there might be some houses that people have specifically for that, they might have like meetups, but it isn't in the way that you have the arcade environment where, anyone shows up, you put your coin up, people play. And like you mentioned, this kind of stuff can hurt games like KOF 14 that are fairly new that only have a console release. And these meetups that they have where they have public areas are beneficial, but they're not a consistent thing. So you have to imagine this is stuff that people have to plan for constantly. Like there's the difference of traveling maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes to go to an arcade on the way home after work, or planning your day out on a Saturday to make sure you go, who knows, maybe halfway across the country
Yeah.
to go play.
Yeah,
Like it's a big difference.
We've talked about this on here, even in the U.S., where the ease of the arcade versus having to plan around it. Basically, it's like you could go to work and then you're like, well, the arcade's by my house, I'll stop by there. And there's no guarantee that people will play, but back when arcades were hot, there was somebody who was going to be there to play. Whereas as opposed to, I have to make time and then I have to make sure that people will show up. So it's like you have to set time aside to wait to see if people are going to come over. It's a very different structure. So I don't know that they're actually even where we are in terms of that yet, where they're just kind of like, well, we still have arcades, so why don't we do that?
Yeah, they're kind of holding on to it, and they're doing a good job of it, obviously. But I would even say that, like you said, it's kind of a hassle even over here to just not have them. Like NorCal has the Foundry that happens every other week, or it used to happen every week, and then people are like, it's getting a lot harder to like specifically go to this spot and feel like I fulfilled like some kind of entertainment dream tonight, and so people stopped showing up little by little because they couldn't just go in and out when they felt like it. It wasn't open all day. It's not open every day. It's specifically Thursday between certain hours, and you got to be 21 to get in. And it's $10 to get in. So,
well, heck, as somebody who held so many sessions at my house over the years when I was in California, even though people knew as a rule that it was every Friday night, there'd be times where I just didn't want to do it. I'd just be like, tired this week, or I'd rather do this. Like, hey, if maybe there's a movie coming out, we want to go see a movie or something like that. Or there's just plenty of reasons where it might not happen. Or there also, conversely, there'd be weeks where I'd be like, is anybody coming over? An hour before it's supposed to start. Is anybody? All right, look, I'm leaving if nobody says anything. And then it's like 5 minutes to 7. People are like, oh yeah, I'm coming over. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So,
yeah,
it is just a big. I mean, I don't want to say it's a hassle, because a lot of the times it's great to have something like that, but it is definitely different. It's completely different than just using arcades.
I think it's more of an effort on the part of the players in general, both the hosts and the people attending, to go to these things and host them. Obviously, instead of just like being respectful to a public area, you're going over to somebody's house, and there's a totally different set of rules, and maybe space is a little bit different. And I've actually always thought, since we started as a community doing that more often, that it's shown a lot of strength of the people involved with it. Obviously, we love the arcade operators that we used to have. We wish they were still able to do what they did, but I also think that the people that continue to run these events at homes, at their own homes, and go to them, are just like, man, like I can't believe we actually experienced growth when we actually had to work the hardest. Imagine if we experienced growth back when the arcade days were like super booming.
Yeah.
So. No, that's just an observation I had. So, my hat's off to everybody who keeps on doing that. And my hat's off to people that run Foundry, too. The Foundry guys that operate that, it's not easy. They organize that every week, but only maybe twice a month is for Street Fighter and other fighting games. And I know that shit's exhausting, and it's pretty much thankless. Mama Dow just had to leave her position there with Showdown. So, it's not a forever kind of thing too, but they keep doing it, and I know everybody appreciates it up here. So hopefully something picks up.
Not to derail, because we're kind of going off the whole subject, but yeah, it really is just one of those things you do because if you're hosting, you do it because you want to do it, not because you expect something out of it. Because 9 times out of 10 you ain't getting shit from it.
That's why I don't do it.
Hey, that's fair.
Yeah.
But other than that, moving on from Tekken, we have BlazBlue Central Fiction is now out in Japan, and there is a new Terumi. Is everyone really excited? There are 4 characters in BlazBlue. I've decided it's Saya / Noel and the clones. It's Tsubaki. It's Jin, and it's Terumi. Pretty sure those are
Ragna. There's 2 Ragna.
I'm sorry, there's 5. My bad. So that's 8 versions of each of them. We're about 40 characters, right, in BlazBlue now? Is that maybe ish?
I mean, after about, I would say 20, there's a lot of room for them to be quote unquote creative. But instead they were like, we could be creative, or we could just reuse some characters that we quote unquote killed.
Well, what's really interesting is that for the most part, the character playstyles are worlds apart.
Yeah, no, they really are.
Yeah, because Hazama doesn't really play anything like Terumi, and Susan or Susanoo is probably one of the more unique things that they added, because you have to unlock his special moves, and the way you do it is he has those gauges. He has the regular meter gauge like everybody else does, but then he has counters, like little check marks over his meter gauge that are locked. And each one of those counters represents a special. So the way you lock up the ones that are like at the end, like number 8 on his special list, is you have to do a combo that does 8 hits and then press his drive, and that unlocks that particular special move.
That's kind of dope, actually. I like that.
Like, it's really unique. So he has almost like kind of like a rhythm game, or like you have to pay attention to how many hits you want. It's like, do I want to go for big damage, or do I want to like clock out and get my ground Viper move?
It's kind of like a weird version of Gradius.
Yeah.
I really wish he had option. Like, just give me 3 options. Just
Isn't that Mew's gimmick?
Have the options circle me, and I'll just shoot everybody. It'd be cool.
Right? That's the Mew gimmick, the Steins or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It just sort of feels like when it came to, so the playstyles are really unique and really different, and that's cool. But it feels like when it came to character design, they took a look at Guilty Gear and they're like, man, 2 versions of Soul. What a great idea. Let's make a whole game like that. That'll be fantastic.
I mean,
there's like 5 versions of Saya or 6. I don't even know anymore.
It's Saya, which you have the original, then you have Noel, then you have Nu, then you have Lambda, then you have Mu. You have 5.
Okay, 5.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm sorry.
It's a lot considering 3 of them are freaking robots. Like.
Yep.
Well, you have.
Aren't like some of them Ragna's arms?
What?
Is that right?
Didn't like Nu become one of his arms after it got blown off or some shit?
Wasn't that Trigun?
Or no, that wasn't. Yeah, Trigun. I wouldn't doubt it. He's got the red coat.
Yeah,
exactly. Right?
Lambda, I'm thinking of.
Okay,
I'm Ragnar, the humanoid typhoon. I mean, Blood Edge.
Yeah.
I tried to read the BlazBlue story once because I got really bored on a Sunday.
I mean,
and it really hurt my brain.
I think once you get into the second time loop, and then you realize time has stopped, and then it loops again, and then Naoto is future Ragnar from the past.
What? I mean, it makes sense when you consider the game centers around time travel and alternate timelines. That makes sense. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
This is heavy, Doc.
You need to sit down. Let me rap with you for a moment.
I actually want to sit down with the people. Are actually remarking that the story mode closes up a decent amount of loose ends, which has me curious because there's a ton of characters in CPEX that just have side stories that are there for the fuck of it. Like Amane and Bullet are like the best examples. Like Amane is there because, hey, I interact with maybe 3 characters, one of them being Bullet, who also only interacts with 2 other characters. And while she has an interesting side story, we never get any resolution. It's like, oh yeah, I was in this mercenary unit, and my big, leader guy that I looked up to died and turned into Tager, but we can't tell because now he's red. And then all the while they're like, oh yeah, she's really strong and she doesn't really need to use magic, and Azrael breaks her arms and legs. Hey! And then we reset the timer, so none of that happened.
Huh.
Yeah.
Sorry, what you're telling
How
me?
Convenient.
How I don't understand how this. Okay, so Tager, right? They couldn't tell he is because he's red anymore. If he's red, shouldn't he be faster and not have any armor?
I mean, red is the fastest color.
Yeah.
Well, but like Hulk and Venom,
That's a good point.
No. It's like Red Venom or Red Hulk. The hotter, the angrier he gets, the hotter he gets. So maybe the more angry Tager gets, the more magnetic he gets.
Well, I mean, he and
so mad I could just
magnetism,
grab
or especially
everything.
electromagnetism, which he uses, is all just a property of energy conversion. So I can see where you're coming with that.
Mm-hmm. See, yeah. He just gets really mad.
So
And then suddenly magnets happen.
Jesus.
And then people tech when they shouldn't, and it's a really
and
good
then,
time.
And then you're like, oh,
but we can get 5 versions of Noel or Saya or whatever the hell you want to call her. But I can't get the goddamn Samurai Pizza Cat. This is what you're telling me.
Here's what's happening. People are data mining the shit out of the game and have found voice clips of character interactions for the majority of the cast where they refer to Jubei in one way or the other. And there's announcer clip. You picked, Jin Kisaragi and Noel Vermilion. There's one that just says Jubei, and you're like, well, why would they do this if he isn't a playable character?
Because it's a red herring.
Yeah, I hope it is.
Because it's Mori fucking with us.
Yeah, I was about to say that would be like the best right now if he pulled that.
I honestly think the biggest fuck you would be they put him in the game, but he's a complete gag. Like he just becomes Neko Art Chaos.
They need to have that, but at the same time, they need to put in a new character where, what's it called? Taokaka and Kokonoi fuse using the Potara earring and become some sort of Jubei-like being.
See, people are already joking about like Jubei. Oh, they're like, oh, it'll be hilarious if they put Jubei in the game, but he really sucks. And I'm just like, I played Johnny when he was bottom 3 in several games. That does not bother.
No, they need to put him in the game, but he needs to be banned because he's the strongest being alive. So he just instant kills you with every hit. So he just can't be played. You just can't.
Bro, there's Hakumen. He is the white void.
Or just make him General from Dan Kuga or Kaiser Knuckle. Where he's just completely unbeatable, practically.
What if they just make him Fritz from Akatsuki Blitzcamp, where he has no specials but really strong, slow-hitting normal moves?
You see, the only complaint I have with that is that if that's the case, then he needs to be able to chip with normals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. He guard breaks with every normal that's heavy. And then his drive is just a command dash.
It's like, I don't know. Make a Last Blade character.
I mean, at this point, I'm thinking, what the fuck are they gonna do if they actually do put him in? So
It'd be a cat.
With like all the drive stuff, like does he have 9 lives? Like you have to kill him 8 times before you actually.
Maybe that's his gimmick. Is that
That's actually his drive.
No, what'll happen is that he'll only have 9 hits that you can kill him with, but when he gets hit, he gets into like an invincible knockdown state, and then like gets back up, and then you got to keep going from there. So essentially, you have to tag him 9 times for him to die.
What if he, he never actually gets hard knocked down? He always lands on his feet.
My Oki's just really. I have to do weird cross under shit.
Yeah.
I can't.
But honestly, like, what
It's
are they
all
gonna do
just
with this
air
character?
real. It's all just air real.
Just always lands on his feet. But what are they gonna do? Like, we have Rhythm Game in Susanoo. We have fucking Invoker with 9 the Phantom.
Oh wait, really?
Do you know how she works?
Yeah,
No.
it's kinda like
Okay,
Invoker.
so she has basically 3 versions of each normal, right? Like, you know how most characters have like light, medium, strong?
Yeah.
She has normals that kind of go in the same length and direction with like different speeds and different like strengths of impact, but they all just kind of like, here's a horizontal, here's a diagonal, like anti-air, and here's like a low hitting one.
Okay.
And they're elements, so it's like wind, fire, whatever. She has 3 elements. And then depending how your combos go, so if you hit them fire, 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 you've stocked the triple fire special, and suddenly she gets to nuke you. Or if she does like, fire, fire, wind, she gets a different special. She honestly has like 20-something special moves. She's like vintage Invoker.
Yeah, fire, fire, win. Okay, so that's Chaos Meteor. Okay.
Yeah, she actually has Kunzite. She has a plus 20 on block overhead as a combo starter.
I think it's technically only 9 unique, but then there's like 3 versions of each normal elemental, so it's like 9 more. It's just very
No. She legit has stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, so she has, here's 1 fire and it does a mini explosion. Here's 3 fire and it does a huge ass explosion, right? Then you start mixing and matching, and it's like, oh, did I get 1 of each? Cool. I throw a seed on the ground that is now a low.
Oh no, I meant that she has 9 mix and match spells, and then she has the ones that are just an additional 9 that are the various strengths. Is what I was saying.
Okay.
So that's why it's like 18, but I think it's really only like 12. If you
I'm just gonna count them right now, just for the sake of my.
I forget. I actually looked at it when she first came out because I was really confused. I was like, how the fuck does this character work?
Yeah. Question. Is she a beacon of knowledge blazing across the black sea of ignorance?
The hell? Come on.
The hell?
Her real name's Kal-El.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kyle,
Carl.
or Carl, as they said it.
Carl. Oh wait, 14 unique spells.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be interesting. Honestly, what they could really do, the most bare bones easy shit you could do with somebody like Jubei is just have his drive basically just be like Mistfinder.
No, his
To
drive
be
will
easy.
just be what's it called? Cliff taunt. He just says shit and then they fly at him.
Or you could have his drive basically be like how Maru stand fierce, where it's just like big slow slashes that do a grip if they actually hit you.
It shatters your weapon. That's what it should do. It should shatter your weapon.
Disarms the opponent.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't use drive for like 2 seconds.
That would be sick.
I think the problem with designing a character like that is like you've already built him up to be the strongest character in the world, in your universe, and you've already got a bunch of ridiculous characters in your universe, and you're like, well, it's possible that I blew my load already, but let's try anyway. And I think that's possibly.
What if they have something up their sleeve? Like
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe they do.
We got some wacky stuff. Like the most straightforward, I think, of the new cast is, Naoto and
what if Jubei doesn't follow the game's conventions even more so, and he plays like a Buriki 1 character, where your A, B, C, and D is your movement options, and your stick is all attacks?
It's like, so
I don't even know what the hell that means.
So in Buriki 1,
different normals.
So in Buriki 1, there's 2 buttons which move you left and right, and then the stick, depending on how you actuate it, is what you do in an attack. So forward, just like a jab. Back forward is more like a haymaker or something like that. You have like up forwards, down backs, and different like directionals you can press. So the directions are all your buttons. So yeah, technically Jubei would have twice the amount of buttons as everyone else. But depending on how you also actuate it, opens up a world of new moves. And then you just move with A, B, C, and D. A, B, C will be left, down, right, and then D will be jump.
That would make me mad.
I would love it personally.
They already did that in one of the KOF games. They made it happen. This isn't unprecedented.
Look, I don't play on Hitbox for a
Tendo.
reason.
God, playing on Hitbox with that character would probably be weird. Because everything would be backwards.
You're like, I don't know.
How do I do with complex inputs?
Oh, that'd be great.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that he's getting some progress anyway. Like, I remember first playing the game and just hearing his name back in, Continuum Shift days, and just being like, oh, okay, there's a guy named Jubei in there. He's a cat.
The other thing that's kind of worth mentioning with all of this is that Mori's gone on record that there isn't going to be an extend of Central Fiction.
Right, so that's something I'm more interested in. He says there's not going to be another version of this, basically.
I thought he just said that there isn't going to be an extend. I don't think he said anything about there isn't going to be another BlazBlue.
I mean, there's going to be another BlazBlue possibly, but I don't think there's going to be another version of Central Fiction where we're playing.
Well, there won't be an extend, but you think they would do just like 2 and just update it?
See, they definitely could. I mean, they did CS2.
Yeah.
Wow, if he's just talking about the fucking version.
I mean, I feel like that's all it was an answer to get people off his back. Like, basically this whole so you guys gonna do another extend version of this one, huh? And he's just like, fuck you, we're not doing extend. It's gonna be CF Extreme, fuckers.
Yeah. He's walking like, oh god, what did I do?
Oh, BlazBlue 2? Save it, Serlin? I mean, was he the one behind Guilty Gear 2? Was he behind Overture? Was that
God?
radical changes in design like that can only be one man. Like, hey, you remember that fighting game you used to like? Well, now it's a MOBA. Yeah?
All right. There's now 2 versions of Grand Viper, and the S version, the light version, doesn't go as far, but it goes through fireballs.
Damn. Doesn't it already go through fireballs because it goes under them?
Well, it goes under, but I mean, this will actually just eat a fireball.
Yeah, because I don't think Ground Viper. Sorry, what the hell am I saying? It doesn't go through Gunblaze. Or Gunflame, whatever. You know what it is. Gunframe! I always want to call it that because I've been calling it that for 20 years, it feels like, and I'm like, I forgot how to say it in regular English.
In regular English.
In regular
Not
English.
Chris English.
Not just Gunframe. Yeah, what? What's wrong with that? What?
You know who they need to put in Exerd? Ryo Sakazaki. Fatal Fury 2, Ryo Sakazaki.
As I said,
you know what they need to do? Take you out of this call right
now. As I said on Twitter a couple days ago, Ryo Sakazaki, more like Ryo Sucky Sucky. Am I right, guys?
Wow.
Shut up, both of you.
Both of you are grounded. Go to your
both
rooms.
of you just be quiet. Oh man, nah. Ryo Sakazaki, he's having enough fun in KOF 14. Believe me. People are discovering things about that character that it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. Hopefully, we get to see him make top 8 in this here KOF World Championship thing that finally got a qualifier announced just last week.
Wasn't there a couple actually announced?
Yeah, the same day.
Yeah, because I saw that. So obviously, for those who don't know, there's going to be a KOF World Championships early in 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they released a trailer for it. It's kind of a cute trailer with Antonov in the game, talking about how he wants this tournament, and it's going to be 16 players, and they're going to hold qualifiers. And then, basically that day, they announced 2 qualifying tournaments, one at SoCal Regionals, and what was the other one?
Canada Cup.
Canada Cup, there you go.
Which are both this month. The Canada Cup is at the end of this month, I believe. Exciting. Good to know that they are going to be having qualifiers for this World Championship, and that, they're taking it kind of seriously, like a World Tour kind of thing.
It's cool. I wish we had known I wish players had known just even a little bit earlier, because
that's my gripe too.
It's, when they announced that SoCal Regionals was a qual, if anybody had wanted to go out there, that was going to be hard.
Yeah.
And the same thing for Canada Cup. So, I understand that it's quite possible that logistically they couldn't get it out any faster, but it does suck at the same time for players.
Apparently Southeast Asia Majors was also a qualifier. I don't even remember them saying that out loud. So.
Okay.
Yeah, right? It's like, what?
So
the bigger issue is the timing, it sucks, but we also know that there's supposed to supposedly be about, at the end of this, 16 people entering a finals, which means I would assume they're going to take, they're probably going to have, I don't think they're going to have 16 qualifiers before they have it next year. Early 2017, they said. So they're probably just going to take. They might. The only other thing I can think is that they have 8 and take 2 people from each one.
Or they could do something where, well, depending on the number of tournaments, they could do something like, if they have 16, they could do maybe 12, and then have 4 last chance. Because, a lot of people have been doing last chance possibilities and stuff like that. Because Tekken 7's going to have last chance for the tour, and so we'll see.
I hope so. And there's also some confusion on what's going to happen for the finals. Some people have said, we've actually seen from Atlas that they've said verbatim 16 people will be in the finals, but also I've been hearing that there's going to be 4 people in the finals, which is like, which one is it, guys? They're on record saying 16, so I'm inclined to believe that, but good sources tell me that there's only going to be 4, so I'm like, well, that's a pretty big jump there,
Yeah.
So no, we don't know what's going on. The main thing I had a problem with though is that, they announced as far as I know, the only U.S. qualifier at SCR, pretty much 2 weeks out of its occurrence, and that pretty much leaves out 98% of the KO community in America.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the other issue being, all we know is that they said 16 people and they said 1 qualifier. We don't know anything else.
Right. So they might have another one later on. I wouldn't be surprised if they had one at, say, NEC.
NEC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that I would hope they would announce that at least November. Early November, if it's gonna go down like that.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. Other than that,
I would love to know. I would love to know before the end of October what all the qualifiers are.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that I guess they're trying to see who wants to work with them. I can't imagine that there's anybody out there that doesn't want to attach this to their event, because that just means more people are going to show up potentially. Oh yeah. But I can only assume that right now, SNK is just trying to get the red tape sorted out through that. We know that SCR has a history of working pretty closely with Atlas, so I'm actually surprised that didn't happen sooner. But for whatever reason, it didn't. So hopefully like you said, they pull it together and get us something by end of October, early November. Because if it comes around late November, early December, man, I feel like that's just kind of shooting it in the foot a little bit.
It is, and at the same time, I don't want to downplay it too much. This is still awesome for the community, and I know that everybody's really happy that Atlas and SNK jointly are going to be running a World Championships. But yeah, you don't want to you don't want your first event to look like you planned it out on a piece of paper 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. And that just and the worst part about that is that everybody would believe that's a SNK ran tournament, you know? You can't even say like, oh yeah, you know, that's just how it is. It's hard running a tournament sometimes. Like, nah, it's just hard for them to do it. So
yeah,
I believe in them though. I'm willing to help any way I can. So we'll here's for working together, and the community's been doing great. Like, I think everybody's been kind of, you know, pulling together and just being really supportive of everything that's happening here, and people are actually communicating with each other rather than like kind of falling back into old cliques like they used to back in the old days. So that's exciting. That's exciting. That's a very
that's always welcome.
Yeah, that's always welcome. It's inspiring finally, you know, to have the dialogue that we should have had like years ago finally be something that we're not forced to have, but we're willing to have it, you know. So that being said, I'm not going to be at SoCal Regionals.
I like that. Man, now I got to cancel my ticket.
I like that. It's like, I'm glad the community's working together, except for me.
I feel so bad.
See you bums in the alley.
See you guys at Capcom Cup. Oh man, yeah. But yeah.
Speaking of championships, we missed talking about it a couple weeks ago because we just got sidetracked last week. But Capcom Cup got announced.
Mm-hmm.
It will again be a PlayStation experience, and this year it's going to be in SoCal. I'm genuinely surprised that they didn't just keep it up in NorCal.
I think there was a number of reasons why they didn't. Well, the main obviously being Capcom doesn't want to, you know, drop any more money on their own event right now. I think with Sony having foot the bill for Street Fighter V's creation in the first place, they're probably just like, hey, we're going to ride that wave out until it ends. And Sony's deal is probably, you know, hey, you know, you're coming with us everywhere if we can, you know, control that. And why wouldn't you anyway? Because you'll have a much bigger venue. The other part of that is the venue they had it in last year up here is actually currently under construction. So,
oh really?
Yeah, they took it. They closed it down after Capcom or PlayStation Experience last year. I think we were the last event there, so they shut it. We closed it down, guys.
Hey,
always knew. Grand opening, grand closing when the fighting game comes to town.
Oh man, but yeah, so they're basically following Sony down to Anaheim for PlayStation Experience, and it's going to be at a convention center, so it should have a lot more space than what we had last year, even though that was a ton of space and we didn't even fill it up. I wish it was in NorCal too. I think that's a much better destination for a tournament than Anaheim.
I will say this though, that going to Capcom Cup this year will be much more affordable. Because where it was in San Francisco last year, I remember looking at it because we talked about going, and I was like, the hotels for PlayStation Experience / Capcom Cup were ridiculous.
Yeah.
And in Anaheim, you're not so much.
I think, like, you know, in San Francisco, you know, you're staying. You had the option of staying in the same hotel as the Golden State Warriors that weekend exactly. You know, like it was just like it, not the best for just spectators. Like, we had that same issue when NCR was in San Francisco. People were just like, "Where the hell do we stay?" Even though it's on the other side of the city.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, Anaheim is definitely more of a tourist destination for sure. At least across the board of, like, you know, economic backgrounds. It's just some people are probably going to be a little burnt out on Disneyland stuff within the first 6 hours.
That's what you think.
I mean, I'm not even going this time. All right, I'm just gonna. If anybody wants to go, I was like, you go and enjoy yourself. I'm going to find some place to get drunk.
Look, all I know is that in 7 years, I never went to Disneyland, so I can't say that I was really stoked about the idea of ever going to Disneyland.
They have good churros.
I mean, I believe it. The only time I actually stepped foot onto Disneyland was to go to House of Blues to see They Might Be Giants. That was it.
That's
the only
legit.
time. Shout outs to James for taking me.
But for real, man, like I'm excited to go to this year. You know, I got myself a room, got my flight all packed up. I'm gonna be doing some networking down there, and hopefully run into some important people that I can make some deals with and stuff. But for the most part, you know, I'm just really interested to see how this entire season comes to rip-roaring end, because it has been a roller coaster ride for people who follow Street Fighter V. I think whether you started out and followed it for about 5 weeks, or you've been following it up until now, I don't think anybody is gonna be able to say that, you know, it hasn't been an emotional tidal wave. Like, people were feeling hot about it, they then started feeling cold about it, and I honestly don't know where they're at right now. Like, what is the public consensus on Street Fighter V? Like,
I mean, I really don't know. Most of the people I talk to about fighting games, we're all sort of in the same place, which is meh.
Yeah, like it's either I'm getting that, it's either getting that, or we're getting like people just, and I know people are going to complain about stuff in games, and honestly I don't care, because I think that's therapeutic sometimes, you know. Like I said it on Twitter before, but I was like, you know, you get blown up in a game and you just get really upset, and sometimes you just want to go yell about it somewhere, so you go on Twitter for some reason. We really need to stop that. We should probably just yell at a wall or something, you know?
Man, but the wall ain't gonna give me those likes.
That's
You
true,
understand
yeah.
me? Anything you put on Twitter, anybody can read. But the reality of it is, nobody's reading it anyways.
Damn.
You just blew my mind right there, dog. It's you know, it's like I've said. Basically, Twitter and the fighting game Twitter is the same thing as fighting game general discussion. SRK was. It's just people. So much of it is just people venting or talking shit, and it's literally gotten so bad that most of the time it's better to tune it out. I hate to say it, but
I've been doing that recently, and I'm having a much better time on Twitter. It's not that I can't stand people not liking their particular game or even Street Fighter, but it's just kind of like it got to the point where I was like, you know, are you mad because you're losing, or are you mad because there's just something that is wrong with the game that you can't explain, you know? Because there's never going to be a game that doesn't have that, you know? It's always going to be it's always gonna be something stupid. There's people out there that think KOF 14 is gonna kill Street Fighter 5, or at least they did, up until like the freaking like side switch glitch became really apparent. You know, and punish yourself for trying to punish somebody. Oh, what a great concept! So I started tuning it out. You know, I don't know how people feel about it.
I think it's really funny that there's so many legitimate complaints about the game that get droned out by the, at this point, childish arguments of like, oh, you're bad at the game. And it's like, you guys have a bad button config. It's like, your button config's ass, your leg support shit, your colors are unlocked now by a prohibitive dollar amount or a prohibitive in-game mode that nobody enjoys. Your fucking company installed a rootkit into my PC version, didn't tell me how to remove it, then released another version that didn't quite tell me how to remove it. Oh, funny thing. You know how that was supposed to prevent people from cheating?
Mm-hmm.
People then figured out how to use that rootkit that was put in to cheat.
Well, why not, right? It has
it's like,
access.
It's like, hey, you know, we closed the back door. But what you did was create a back door.
That was,
but we closed it.
We were coming through the roof, man. Come on.
It's just like when part of the Simpsons where Mr. Burns and Smithers are going to like the secret place, and once they finally get there, there's like a screen door that's all busted and open.
Like a dog digging around. Yeah, exactly like that. But there's enough problems with the games that it kind of almost sets me off in a really unhealthy amount that there's a defense force for it. Like,
yeah,
remember
because overall. Oh, I was going to say, it's not like most of us are complaining about the game's balance, actually, at all.
Mm-hmm.
I have no complaints. Game seems fine.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Chun seems kind of strong, and everyone seems to not be winning with her that much. So, okay.
I mean, it happens.
Like, you know, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert about the game to remark on its balance in any way, but if other people come in and say, it's like, hey, you know, costumes cost a lot. There's not a lot of single-player content. Well, I mean, they added story mode, but unlocking colors is a chore. Legacy control sucks. The fact that you can't skip win poses, which means you actually play 20% less possible games in a given set than you could because you can't skip this amount of time, is incredibly frustrating. There's a lot of problems, but when you have people coming into the defense force and it's almost always you're bad at the game, and it's like, look, I can be fucking terrible at it, but I can recognize when a shitty button config exists.
Yeah.
And it feels almost bewildering that people that were willing to take Skullgirls and just rip it to shreds because it didn't have an in-game move list are fine when Capcom is just fucking up every which way constantly. Like, there's stuff that we forget about because there's just so much of a short-term memory. Like the 8-frame lag thing, it's like it's gone because it's like, hey, we're at 6.5. That's a bit more reasonable, right?
Yeah.
But then there's stuff that we forget about that they did throughout the time. It's like, hey, remember when Alex came out and picking him if you were on second player fucked over the version of the game? Like, it would actually revert characters to the previous patch?
Well, I actually
Yeah, that's something that was like, that was that's just one of those things that's just like, this isn't like, a defendable thing, Like, you can't really say that this is working as intended.
Yeah, and when you have a game that's specifically designed for competitive play, it seems like, right? You also have them make it so second player has zero input as to who gets to rematch or who gets to just go to the character select. It's all on first player, and we've talked about this before. If first player is just mashing on rematch and you wanted to switch characters, you have now wasted almost an entire minute or more of getting back into the game.
I will say, yeah, it is very clunky just doing the most basic option selecting. Not like in game, but like, just like pick my stage, pick my character. This all has to be one full thing. Why can't I just go back to character select and then go back to the stage?
And there's been games that have found really creative ways around it. Like Tekken, I think might have been the first. Guilty Gear then also implemented, which was just quick select. It's like no shiny, bells and whistles. You just like pick character, pick stage, go. Like it just said names and that's it. Doesn't have to load any of these graphics. And for a game that seems to be so competitive focused, this is a huge oversight. Like, it's a TO nightmare in some sense.
Especially when you're pressed for time and you want to run commercials on ESPN, and you're just like, how long is this match going to last? At least 10 minutes. Like, well.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what? And it's like, hey, look, some people probably have issues with Street Fighter V's balance. Some people obviously have problems with KOF 14's balance. And everybody has their own arbitrary complaints about whatever. But what we're talking about is actually things that prevent us from even enjoying the game.
Right.
Which is completely different than saying, man, I wish they would nerf this character because of this. It's like, that's completely subjective. That part, when you start talking about game balance and what's good game balance or what makes a game fun, that's all completely subjective, and we all accept that.
Yeah.
But when you're just like, why is it taking me 3 minutes to play a match? Like, because of all this extra crap? That's objective. That's quantifiable.
We have numbers and calculators and stopwatches.
Yeah, and so to that end, I'm never confused as to why people keep watching the game, because it's still exciting for people to watch people play these games competitively. And I'll admit, I still enjoy playing a game against people, even though I've moved on to KOF. Somebody puts it down in front of me, I'm going to play the damn thing. I'm going to be like, man, it still didn't fix the character select screen crap, but whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, and I want to just point this out again, even though we had Mike, 1 or 2 weeks ago, is when you buy this game, and when you buy the DLC, or when you engage Capcom in any way that sends them money, and it's in a Street Fighter V fashion, what the fuck are you telling them? Like, yeah, give me more of the bare minimum. Like, we have other companies here knocking it out of the park. Like, even KOF 14 and its somewhat bare bones menus still does a better job at addressing key issues of like, hey, we have legacy support. It's not the best. It's not just plug and play like it is in the Arxis games, but at least it's not as big, gigantic, cumbersome mess that it is in Street Fighter V, where you have to have a controller attached and assigned to your stick for it to even work, right? So why are people really willing to defend what is basically a crap product? It gets aggravating. It's just a big mess for me whenever I see it's like.
I first of all, I can't really make an argument there because I bought KOF 12. So
I mean, but what I was going to say is, look, you know, and I've met people who are like, look, I'm not buying KOF 14. I think the game looks like shit. And to me, I can say, okay, you know what? That's a valid reason. Like, because to that person, they're saying it's not worth it because I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth in this product. There are definitely people who are not buying Central Fiction because there's no dub. That, again, it's part of the product. Not talking about the game experience, but the product itself. That's such a different distinction from talking about game balance or complaining about tier lists.
Now, the funny thing is... Oh, go ahead. Continue.
Oh, no, finish. Go for it.
I was going to say that there's an inverse to that. There's actually a complete opposite side of this spectrum where there's people that play the game. They don't care about what's lacking from it. They don't care about the mechanical issues outside of a match. They do care very much about what occurs in a match. They hate that part, and they argue they have to play the game. Like,
that's how
there's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can say to that because that's just stupidity.
That's crazy.
That's bewildering to me, actually, in a way. Just when you have people, it's like, I have to play it. It's the thing. It's like,
it's esports,
why is Street Fighter 5 suddenly like the latest Call of Duty bro game? And it's like, yo, man, you want to come over and play Time Killers? It's like, oh, that old piece of shit. I'm gonna play this new broken fucking, Call of Duty 7 with only noob tubes.
Gotta stay competitive, man. Esports, MLG, bang bang. Like
yeah.
Like
it feels weird.
We're not on that level yet. I feel like we're just like we're not quite there. I think we're getting there. I think we're getting to the point where people can compete for a living, but not everyone's going to be able to do it. Like if you say you have to do it because this is how you eat, and because that's basically what you're saying, is that you have to play Street Fighter 5, otherwise your life is not where you want it to be going, and it's bad. Everything's going wrong, because you complain about it like it's killing you.
Yeah, like there is a density, like an increased density of like events that you can try to like win and live off of. But if you're trying to do this in a competitive sense, like hyper competitive, like I'm not even going to have a career outside of like trying to make it as the next Daigo or Mago or what have you. The fact that then becomes an obligation, it's like this weirds me out, man. Like,
I don't know how to respond to that. I don't I tell people to just go outside, but even that seems kind of insensitive.
Yeah. And it's like, far be it for me to say and judge what somebody, say anything about like what somebody's going to do for their living, but like if you're coming at me, it's like, oh, I have to play this because it's the only way I have to make money. I'm like, okay, that's you, that's the thing. Like, but we definitely have to live with the reality that there's only so many events and only so much money, and an ever increasing amount of competition exists along with those two realities.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure you're even going to crack top 8? Are you going to make it to Capcom Cup? Like, there's the little I watch, it's hard fought. Like, we have people that are just like they're on the precipice of barely making it.
It blows my mind. So I understand people being like, you know what, Street Fighter 5 is the only game in my scene. Now, but now if you say, well, Street Fighter 5 is the only game in my scene, and I do enjoy it somewhat. I wish I could play other games, but you know what? I can't because nobody else plays them. I'm playing Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
That to me is a lot different from people being like, I hate this game, but I have to play it. It's like, no, you don't. You never have to do anything in terms of playing fighting games, unless somebody's holding your daughter ransom and you have to play Street Fighter 5. I think there's a Mel movie about that.
Yeah. I mean,
but it doesn't make a ton of sense because it's like, what are you saying? Like, well, I've been playing fighting games for this long and I can't stop now. Sounds like you got a problem if you're just like, well, I got to play the shittiest thing they put out.
Nice. I can understand that from the perspective of people that were sponsored going into the birth of Street Fighter 5. Like, hey, this game just got released. You were a big thing in, X fighting game before. You got signed by a sponsor. They have maybe set expectations for you. Like, maybe you have to stream so much, content related to that game per week. Maybe you have to go to a certain number of events. Maybe you have to show and like actually place at these events.
This is real. These are people that actually have to go through this right now. Like, they have their schedules.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense that you have to. But when you have, entry number 76 at Wednesday Night Fight saying like, yo, man, I gotta play this game. It's like, you seem like you're not having fun, but I gotta.
I'm not a part of something. I'm not a real human.
Exactly.
Let's just be that. That would actually be like me, somebody who at best has made top 8 in a few tournaments here and there. be like, I gotta play Street Fighter V. Why? Because I gotta be able to play the big game because that's where all the money is. It's like, Paul, you've made money 3 times in fighting games ever, and it doesn't look very good for your chances since you don't practice and you hate this game.
But you gotta.
It's like, you just kind of sound like, just really sounds stupid.
Yeah, like what else would you call that? Like
I don't really know. It's actually befuddling on a really, like I said, if all you have is Street Fighter V and you actually enjoy the game somewhat, you have some problems with it, but you enjoy it. Okay, I totally can understand. Look, I have problems with games I love. I have problems with Guilty Gear. I think that Danger Time is stupid. You don't hear me go on Twitter every 2 days and bitch about it because it's like, at some point, after the initial complaint, you can either accept it and move on, or you can sit there and just continue bitching about it for reasons I actually can't fathom.
Well, remember when YRC first showed up? Everybody was fucking going nuts for it. They're like, what? This is fucking stupid. What the fuck? And then, people realized what it was. It's very good still, but, they came to terms with it. And maybe it wasn't as bad as initially thought.
And you know what? Some people still really don't like it, but they've either decided to keep playing the game, or some people are like, I really don't like YRC, and they're playing Plus R.
Mm-hmm.
That's the decision they made.
And that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly the point, is that, you know what? If you don't like it, you don't have to play it. And that's okay, too. Like, it's totally fine to be like, this is not my shit. I don't enjoy it. I'm not having a good time.
Don't sign me the fuck up.
Just... Yeah, don't play.
Yeah. This kind of goes to another thing that I've been thinking about recently. Something that I'm a little upset about, just because I feel like people's perceptions of things are incorrect in the sense that... So, I'm going to talk about King of Fighters 14 right now.
Okay.
People I've seen, they're like, oh, that's not King of Fighters. I'm like, what do you mean that's not King of Fighters? Like, the way people play, or the way a certain character acts, or something like that, that's not King of Fighters. And I'm just thinking, like, what do you perceive King of Fighters to be? What King of Fighters is? No running and only forward dashes and charging for supers. No, it's armor mode with strikers. It's choosing if you want 1 or 4 characters depending on the character strength. Bunker attacks, chargeable CDs. That's what King of Fighters is. People play 98 and 2002, and they are similar, but they're still unique in their own ways. So when people say things aren't King of Fighters, it's like, did you just ignore all the games that come out in between like each other?
I mean, haven't there been like 20
Yes,
KOF
exactly
games at this point?
Well, we're already up to 14, and that's not including any of the side games or remakes or anything. So yeah, totally.
I'm going to say there's probably about 20 KOF games.
Oh yeah, easy.
If you try to define what KOF is by one fucking game out of 20,
yeah.
I don't really have a lot of respect for that. I'll put
really,
it that way.
Yeah, it's really upsetting me. I understand that they think like this isn't like this kind of system mechanic that I liked, and maybe a hodgepodge of other ones that were shown, but it's more like, don't say that's not what King of Fighters is. Just because it's not what you think King of Fighters is, doesn't mean it's incorrect. Oh man, I love counter mode. I'm gonna have unlimited supers for a period of time. I can only do max if I have 3 bars. Otherwise, I could do 3 level 1 supers. I could have people tag in and dream cancels, switch canceling. Like, what do you know what King of Fighters is? It's 3-on-3. No, it's 4-on-4. Where do you decide what King of Fighters was or is? There's core elements, sure. We have hops, we have dashes and runs, side steps aren't a thing anymore. It's all about rolling now. Yep. But these are all mechanics. They've been different, like every iteration of the game. And so when I hear people say that's not King of Fighters, I'm just like, do you know what King of Fighters is? Because maybe it wasn't King of Fighters before, but it's a part of it now. So, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But Tony, that's that shit I don't like.
I get that. And you don't have to like it. But it's more like when you say, that's not King of Fighters. Yeah, Street Fighter V is not Street Fighter.
Yeah.
It didn't have V trigger cancels. It was all about parries and only being able to pick 1 super.
And you couldn't jump, but now everybody can jump.
Only have 1 super and nothing else. No EX moves. There's no supers.
I honestly, I think people don't get the fact that they don't have to rationalize their excuses or their reasons. They're not even excuses, just reasons why they don't want to play something.
Yeah.
Like if somebody puts a Mortal Kombat in front of me, he's like, "Yo, man, play this." I'll be like, "I don't like games where I can't actively hit confirm things. It makes me feel weird. It's not my shit. Like regardless of the effort I could put into it, I'm not gonna feel nice with it. I'm not gonna jive with it. Like if anybody ever asked me, and it's come up a couple times, it's like, "Hey, why don't you play 5?" It's like I don't like the game's input delay. Like it does not speak to the way I want to play. I don't enjoy it. I have a lot of problems with the game otherwise. I'm bye. Like there's other games I want to play that I want to rather put my attention to, and that's a legitimate thing. You don't have to rationalize it otherwise. It's like, why don't you like Street Fighter 5? It's like, look, man, it's not an authentic, uneven numbered sequel. Like, look at it. Street Fighter 1 had only 2 attack buttons. Street Fighter 3 had parries and super jumps. Street Fighter 5, you know, it's too traditional for me. It's like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, I just don't like it.
I'm not a big fan of Street Fighter 5.
Right about your dislike.
Yeah.
And then they throw you in the chair, shine the light in your face. Good cop, bad cop. What is it you don't like about it, huh? I need you to rationalize. You need to give me a list of 20 bullet point reasons right now for why you don't like this game. Otherwise, your complaint is invalid. And it's not even necessarily a complaint. It's just like, that's not for me.
Yeah, it's not for me.
They put you in a chair and they're just like, you don't like Street Fighter 5? How many lights do you see?
Yeah.
There are 4 lights.
Just slap you across the face.
It's gonna take me 8 frames to react to those lights.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, 6.5. 6.5. Gotta get with the time.
It's over, man.
Gotta get with the time.
We've been
That's the
liberated.
thing. I can't even. We've had shows dedicated to this, where it's just play what you like, don't play what you don't like, but don't be that guy or gal. Just like your game is shit, and you're shit for playing it.
Yeah.
Just don't do that.
And don't.
And conversely, don't be like man, my scene is the best. We're all the best people. Don't do that either.
Street Fighter 5 isn't Street Fighter.
You know what I'll say is like, thankfully, the Street Fighter scene has never been that way. Like they've never been like, man, we rule. We're really cool, aren't we, guys? Don't we look cool? Like they've never been like that. They just be like, man, I fucking hate myself.
I can't say that. Well, I can definitely think of other scenes for being more vocal about it.
That's what I mean. Like you look at like maybe, well, I'm gonna just say the KOF scene. You had a lot of people in KOF like, man, we play the hardest game, guys.
Yeah.
No, okay, look. Every scene,
That wasn't all our fault either.
Okay, no, I'm taking a breath here to contain myself. Capcom players, and let's specifically put this, Street Fighter players, will perpetually be in my brain, hey, we're the cool kids. That stupid meme that came out years ago where it's like, you know, Street Fighter 4 players were like the kids that were just like, you know, fucking, you know, all the cool kids. It's like, oh, you know, there's Zach Morris and his band, you know, Ragtag being of cool kids, and the Virtual Fighter like representative for that image was like an empty chair. Like we've seen it.
Yeah.
But every time you hear about Capcom stuff, you can't say that they don't think that, because you have a lot of their top representatives and people that are really strong players for Street Fighter games say some outlandish and dumbass shit.
Oh no, I don't think that I never would believe that they don't believe that they are the shit.
Yeah, but I would argue that that's a prevailing sentiment, because for every Snake Eyes that goes out there and says, you know, we're the best at all fighting games, you have immediately a certain number of people that just agree with them without.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they definitely got the writers, you know.
And you also have the jackasses in KOF. They're like, our game's the hardest. It's the this or that. It's, you know, real execution, real inputs, you know, real fighting. And it's like, shut the fuck up, man. Like, like you have a game company that somehow come up with really ingenious ways to read inputs and, you know, other creative mechanics and real interesting additions to the fighting game genre. And you also have that same company that, you know, made their games really easy to bootleg and fucking hack, and, you know, had a really shitty input reader for the longest time, which was the biggest problem for people getting into the game. Like, there's jackassery everywhere. So whenever you have people going out there, like, saying outlandish shit, like, and it happens constantly. Like, I see these fucking people that are like Street Fighter 5 players or KOF players, like, get retweeted on my feed and be like, let's see these guys come from their anime game and go to the ground game. And it's like, whatever, man. You use the term ground game in a game where you people complain about jumping constantly. Okay.
You know, it always brings me back, since everything does, brings me back to pro wrestling. Because one of the greatest of all time, Ric Flair, whenever he was talking about his opponents, would build them up. He'd be like, it'd just be like, you're a great athlete, you've done all this thing, but I'm still the champ and I'm better. It's just like when you talk about games, you can talk. You don't have to just downplay everybody and try to make yourself feel better by downing their shit. You can be like, Street Fighter V is a great game. It's got good balance, but you know what? It's not the game I like. It's not the game I play, and so I'm not going to play it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think Guilty Gear is a better game than Street Fighter V. That's a personal thing. I'm allowed to think that. You don't have to agree.
Hold on. Here's a sternly written, bold, red, fonted letter. Why you're incorrect, sir. Like, I'll have
did you
know
put
right
your
now.
personal seal on it too?
Oh, yeah,
like it's got the wax.
I sent this to a notary public, sir. Like,
just stamp game is trash.
Shit.
like, look at your game is bad. Like, how dare you play an anime game that has the audacity to make me think it's actually 2D when it's in fact 3D? I saw that camera spin, sir, and I do not promote any game that fouls just completely throws the sense of 2.5D out the window. Like, when I see a 3D game, it needs to be all 3 dimensions. None of this pussyfooting around of like 2.5D, like spinning cameras every now and then. You either spin them all the time or never.
Every time someone lands a throw, the camera should just go wild.
Yeah.
Good old
like,
Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah, whenever a throw happens, you should be able to control the camera so you could like disorient your opponent as if they were actually getting thrown. Yeah,
The post throw side switch.
yeah. Get 'em.
That's whew.
Everybody needs to have their own console, and when you get hit, your screen just gets real fucked up, and you can't see shit.
Hey, that exists in Street Fighter V when you pick Nash versus Bison, and you both V reversal at the same time.
Shit just happened.
Hey, that camera's just like, I'm not even touching that one, man.
It's like, whoa, hey, oh, hey.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Hip hop parade.
Oh, dude.
All right.
So,
But that's enough of that.
Yeah.
We're almost at about 5 minutes to the hour or so. Anybody have any kind of last minute thoughts?
Yeah, I actually have a lot of them.
All right, go for it, man.
TFC was this past weekend, and I don't know if a ton of people watched it, but I definitely tuned in for the Third Strike content, which was actually really good. Which I think you can catch the archives on Exodus 3rd. Let me just make sure I give people the exact one. Yeah, Exodus 3 RD. He streamed the team tournament and the singles event, and then they had like some special matches between some of the players that attended. And
They did some of the West Coast, East Coast stuff, right?
Yeah, this was actually really interesting because while it isn't, the most poppin' of games, Third Strike has been lively in the different scenes where it does exist. So East Coast has done a ton. Nika KO, Mutant XP, Frankie 3S, New York version. Or they have sites that this is thirdstrike.com, abbreviated as tits.
Very nice.
Yeah. So if you go to the tits website, which is just kind of getting off the ground right now, or you go to the tits Facebook where there's a ton of stuff you can look at. There's there's a ton of stuff there you can do. And the cool thing about this last tournament is that there was all the local people you would think that would be there for the East Coast. So you have like Face, Common Sense. Obviously the New York people would come down, but we also had people from SoCal. 5-Star Yi Wang, Mr. Bean, Sherwin showing up, and we had a team tournament. The matches are intense. The matches are great, and we also had international representatives with, I think I'm probably gonna butcher his name, but I think his name Niaban, which was a French player, French Makoto, really strong, and we had 2 representatives from Japan, which are Yuki Spencer and Let Blood Run, or Ryan Bracamonte, who now live in Japan, and they came out for this. So the team tournament's great because you have the different regions, and then it came down to the top 3, which I will spoil, but won't tell you who came out on top, with the international players, SoCal and New York. And then for the grand finals, like, that alone was one of those things where I just started sweating. Like, it's one of those matches where you stop breathing because the defense is so on point. And like any mistake is just going to cost somebody the match. Like, it's that great. Definitely check that out. I don't know if it's going to be on YouTube, but I know you can catch the archives on Exodus 3rd, so I would definitely recommend it.
All right. Anything else?
I had a brief announcement. We actually announced it last night at the end of the KOF 14 Open tournament. But myself, Tony, Abe, and Gibby have started a new brand called Game Goons. I like the name. I don't give a shit. Basically, it's an outlet for us to do things with games that we don't normally get on Spooky in our own channels. And we all have a bunch of different channels. We're like, hey, let's just have a gaming channel just for us to go out there and do the stuff we want. And we're also going to be, that's what we're going to be doing a lot of our KOF 14 media focus, because we obviously can't, use the Spooky channel whenever we feel like it. So we felt like that would just be like a good central way for us to get a new project off the ground. And you can follow it on Twitter because we just got it up and running just a night ago, and we got that nice logo from courtesy of Metaphysics. It's beautiful, isn't it? You can't see it yet, but it's all right. But yeah, so that's something that we're gonna be working on. So we're hopefully getting a partnered channel sometime soon, and that'll help us keep things running throughout the many years that this project will be existing for, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, I think.
All right,
might be a lot of fun. I don't know.
I can only hope.
Anybody else?
That's right, Thea.
I gotta give her
right.
a bath. I don't know why she's excited.
Well, going once, going twice, sold. We are out of here. Thanks everybody for listening to another, I'd say it was pretty good episode of Super Desperation Radio. So from everybody here, good night and good luck.